Hello everybody, my name is Fortefyre and welcome to episode 7 of Fortefyre's Fyreside Chats. Today we're talking about
Ghosts and Goblins.
Ooh, spooky.
More like really freaking difficult.
So Ghosts and Goblins is a run and gun game. Contemporarily speaking, the most common run and gun game there is now is Cuphead. Back then, games like Cuphead didn't really exist. Unless you talk about Contra, because you could shoot in every direction.
I really need to play Cuphead. I heard it's a fantastic game.
But in addition to being a run and gun game, it was a platformer. That makes it the second platformer that we played on the channel, the first one being Sonic the Hedgehog. Now growing up, I never played Ghosts and Goblins. However, I did play two games that took place somewhat in the universe of Ghosts and Goblins. Most recently, Arthur, the protagonist, was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He's really small, and his level inside the game is actually the first level of Ghosts and Goblins, to include the music. If we go back further, I had a game by the name of Maximo. Now, Maximo takes place in the Ghosts and Goblins universe. It's just as hard, and it sucks just as bad. But we'll talk about that some other day. Let's go back to 1986 and talk about this. So, 1986, as I said in episode 1, was a heavy-hitting year for the NES. It was a golden year. I'll always consider it the golden year of the NES. Because games like Metroid, Castlevania, Chiller, Kid Icarus, heavy-hitting IPs were coming out for the NES. It was a great year. And Capcom, who made Ghosts and Goblins, was already shooting stuff out on the mainstream market like nobody's business. They had made games like Trojan, 1942, which we already covered, and Ghosts and Goblins. Now, Ghosts and Goblins is an arcade conversion. It started out as an arcade game. It was ported to
literally everything.
Which isn't really saying much because outside of a few computers, there wasn't much of a competition between NES and anything else. Commodore 64 and 16 had a version. The Amiga had a version. It came out on Game Boy, and I think just recently came out supported on Virtual Console. And by recently, I mean within the last 10 years. But outside of that, I don't really have anything to say about it. It's a series that's actually come a long way, and it's really good, but it's really hard. I'm not talking like, man, Dark Souls hard. I'm talking about there's something in the programming that makes this unfair. With games that I deem hard, it's either because I lack the skill or I kind of just dug myself in a hole with that one. Welcome to episode 7 of I Suck at Video Games, because that's ultimately what it is.
Okay.
Well, that's all I got to say about it. Let's take a look at it. Alrighty, let's take a look at my copy of Ghosts and Goblins. Alright, here we go. So, I got my copy for $10 at Rad Junk, which is a local game store down here in Fort Walton Beach. They have everything from Atari 2600 all the way up to contemporary games and everything you can imagine in between. I love going there, and if you're serious about retro game collecting, you definitely need to stop by if you're in the area. But let's get down to business. So this matches the arcade marquee to the point. I like that, that's great. We're already familiar with this old logo of Capcom. Contemporarily, we're used to the blue and gold, which came at some point during the 90s. I haven't really figured out at what point they converted over. This right here is the Grid series. I talked about this in episode 1, but I never really showed other examples of it. So here's one on Mega Man and one on Trojan. And I know it seems like a blast of the past, but 1942. Outside of that, the artwork is actually really neat. I gotta say, I really do dig it. I don't know the Japanese translation for the game series, but it has something to do with like a demon village of some sort. And for the most part, it's a cute little art. This is Arthur. This is going to be the guy that we're playing. This is our main character. And behind him is a list of all the baddies that you're going to be fighting to get your woman's back. So, I guess one other point that I want to bring to this in closing is that this was made by Micronix. Micronix also worked on 1942. But one thing that you'll never see is their credit, because they always credit the publisher and not the developer. So the game was developed by Micronix, published by Capcom. Capcom gets the bill credit. Outside of that, I don't think I have anything. Let's go and check out the game. So let's talk about the premise of this game. You play as Arthur. Arthur is a knight who is in love with a woman named Guinevere. They're hanging out in the graveyard doing stuff when Astaroth, the Demon King, swoops down out of nowhere and kidnaps her. So what do? You go rescue her. How do you do that? The D-pad obviously moves you around, B jumps, and A throws whatever projectile you have at the moment. The issue is, all of the projectiles have their pros and cons. And by cons, I mean all of them suck. The only two that don't suck, I guess, would be the lance and the knife. But that's only because it goes in a straight line. Don't get the flame. Flame screws you. So B jumps, A throws, simple as that. So when a game is an arcade game that gets ported to other consoles, I like to check them out on the medium. However, I don't have an arcade stand-up in my room, so I have to emulate it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the arcade version of Ghosts and Goblins. Alright, so whenever this arcade cabinet boots up, we get put through the ringer, and here's the title screen. Yep, Ghosts and Goblins, 1985, Taito American Corporation. That's creepy as hell. Scary. Alright, 1 coin, 1 play. First round bonus, 20,000. Alright! Wait. Okay, hold on. Whoa! Whoa. Pause. There's a mechanic in this game that involves you taking 2 hits. One of the hits removes your armor, leaving you in your boxers. However, you're in the graveyard right now with Guinevere in your boxers. Vote now on your phones if you think that she was tapping that. Plot twist.
She was.
Alrighty. Listen to that music. Some great music. Alright, so we got some coins that we can pick up. That's pretty unique. This projectile is so badass, the lance. You want to try to keep it if you can. Zombies popping up out of everywhere. Avoid that flame. That flame is garbage. Just got a tight ass. It's a perfect ass. And I got hit. Alright, so obviously if you get hit, you shed your armor. You have the ability to get it back. It just takes a little bit of time and luck if the game decides to give it back to you. I don't know, maybe there's a mechanic if you get so many points you get your armor back. I've yet to figure it out. This is the first time I've ever actually played this game. I was told to watch out for, yeah, that guy. So I heard this guy is exceptionally hard to beat, and he got me. Oh, cool, a map. How many levels? 6? Okay. Let's see how many times it takes me to beat this one. Alright, let's see if we can get him this time. Alright, looks like I got his sprite kind of doing its own little thing right now. And he's dead. Cool. Oh. Ah. Hey, armor. Cool. Alright, so this is where the platform element comes into play, I guess. And the jump is clunky. Good gosh. I hope I don't have to do well-timed jumps later in the game. And there's a bounce back feature. Alright, so that's one feature in games I cannot stand, is the whole bounce back feature. It happens in Castlevania, it happens in Ninja Gaiden, and it's really frustrating because if you get hit right next to one of these gaps, it's pretty much a death sentence, especially on bridges. That happened a lot in Castlevania 1 and 2. Alright, these enemies have really unique, crisp sound effects. I like that. Oh my gosh. I was screwed from point A. Alrighty. And I got hit. Those guys are hard. You'd think they'd at least make me... Okay. That's different music. Now that is a well-composed Game Over soundtrack. Mad props. I hope they put that in the NES game. Vote now on your phones! If I had to put my money on anything, I'd say no, because arcade ports are notorious for leaving out key elements of the soundtrack. Alright, cool, so we can start right back where we left. That's cool, that's actually really nice. Maybe this will be in the NES version. I mean, I could see it being an arcade implement solely because it's a coin-based game. That might not be the case for the NES, and I won't ding it if that's the case. These little pissed off omelets are going to be the death of me. Oh my gosh. Go away. Oh, they can throw straight down? That's pretty cool. Alright, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Oh, okay, level boss. Cool. He's on the front cover. Alright. Alright. I'm going to be so mad if an element from the game beats me. Are you kidding me? Environmental enemies from the game are still there on the boss stage? What is this? I fell in the water. I almost fell in the water again. And I died. That harpoon came out of nowhere. That's a nice dodge. Platforming. Platforming is a key element. You can't have faulty jumps. Alright, I'm back at the boss after dying like 4 times. And he's pretty simple if you stay away from him. So, yep, alright, cool, I beat him. Take a key for coming in, because keys are for other... I'm confused. Alright, straight to level 2. Or is this level 1? That's weird, the flag is on the right. Oh boy, platforming. Those guys are cute though. Oh god, oh god. Oh! I bet there's gonna be window enemies. Oh, called it, yeah. Alright, that's game over number 5. To be honest, I think I can make a fair assessment that the arcade version's pretty awesome. Oh, that music. Anyway, let's take a look at the NES version. Alright, so right off the bat, the logo is kind of off color, but I can forgive that. I have no clue what that is in front of the one player thing, but whatever. Trademark and copyright 1986, Capcom. Cool. Alright, wait. Arthur's underwear is red in this game. Genevieve's blouse is red.
They were doing the dirty in the graveyard.
No wonder you pissed off an evil demon king. It doesn't get much more medieval than that. Alright, so he comes out of nowhere, swoops up, picks you up. Here we go. Not a bad music conversion at all. Oh, but the sound effects. Screechy. Oh my gosh, the jump is so clunky. Alright, so I lost my lance to a knife, but that's fine. As long as I don't get the flame, I'll be alright. What a cheap hit. Oh no. Alright, I'm not anticipating this guy at all. I've heard he's hard as hell on NES, so I'm gonna try to kill him early. And I pissed him off. Oh god. Oh god. If I get hit once, I'm done. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Whoa! Alright, so I practiced on the NES. I died this dude like 40 times. Phenomenal. Except now I'm almost out of time. I need to rush to the end to beat the boss. Oh, the jumps. So right off the bat, I can say the artwork is severely downscaled, but I'm not mad. This is... well, I'm mad about that. Okay, at least we still get the map. But no, the art is severely downscaled, but I can't be mad because it is an 8-bit conversion of an arcade classic. And it was done actually pretty well. Those guys are a lot closer than on the arcade version. There's some sprite flare on the right. Oh boy, they actually look like pissed off burritos in this game. Well, I do have to say that they actually did have some of the game over music. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but hey, who can complain? Ugh, the hitbox in this game is ridiculous. I'm surprised I didn't lose my armor to that. I would have been so mad if I would have died right there. Now I'm pissed. This is the 10th time I've continued. So, as you can see, it's going great for me. Hey, look, we can actually continue. Oh, and if you're wondering, there is a continue option. It starts you right at the halfway mark. But what sucks about it is that you are left with a weapon that you died on. So if you had the knife, you respawn with your continue with a knife. If you had the flame, well, you're just fucked. You might as well restart the entire game because you're going to respawn with the flame and you're not going to accomplish anything. Oh my gosh! Jeez! 30 deaths! How I didn't die there is beyond me. I haven't noticed once any opportunity for me to get my armor back. Is this just how it is in the game, or will I ever get my armor back? Alright, screw it. I'm done! I'm done! 40 deaths, I'm done! So, I was what people would consider, colloquially, getting my ass handed to me. This game is really hard, yo! And for good reason. It's often considered one of the hardest games in the world. I'm sure with a lot of practice, I could beat it. And I might actually try to beat it. If I have the time, I could definitely see me playing through it 100%. But the thing about that is that you don't really beat the game if you complete it, because you have to complete it twice. The second time you play it, it's at a higher difficulty. So if you thought it was hard the first time, boy howdy. Wait till the second time. But I can't really provide any input on the actual ending because I never made it. I need to get back into making long plays. I actually do miss that. Pro tips. Ghosts and Goblins. So, obviously you need to be patient. This game has a control scheme that's really unorthodox, and by unorthodox, I mean it doesn't jump the way you would think it would jump. Not because it's bad, it's because it's just clunky. On the arcade version, the jumping is kind of the same. They make it seem like the sprite can jump, but it makes it act like it's not supposed to be jumping, if that makes any sense. So what you see is a single jump animation, and it looks like you're like dragging and dropping in a very poor parabolic arch from point A to point B. Pro tip 2, play the arcade version. Download an emulator, play the arcade version, or go somewhere that has it. Maybe if you have like a 501 stand-up, play the arcade version, because the arcade version's actually really fun. It's got better sound effects, the music's more crisp, the artwork obviously is going to be more crisp regardless. Just check it out. Pro tip 3, anticipate your hitbox being a lot larger than you think. There's some times whenever I was killed and I wasn't sure if it was a fair kill or if it was just the game glitching out. I suck at games, so I like to think it was my fault.
Okay.
Let's rate the game. Cart. Cart's actually really pretty. I actually really dig this artwork. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Gameplay. The gameplay is just, it's hard to explain because I want to like it because I actually do enjoy the arcade version and I actually do enjoy the NES version. It's a cool concept. It's a great platformer. Sure, it's tough, but there's a lot of stuff that could have been done a lot better. I mean, bear in mind, Metroid came out in 1986. Metroid's jumps were perfect. They were seamless. But I guess in the same regards, Castlevania, which came out in 1986, also had that weird jump feel. I can't compare these together. I can't compare them because then that would skew the results. As far as gameplay, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10. Music! I don't feel that the music really is at the full potential that it could have been. That being said, the arcade version, I love classical music, and hearing that Game Over theme was phenomenal. Now, the thing about the NES version is that the music stays the same for the most part, and the Game Over, as you saw, is just a smaller tidbit of the actual arcade version. However, the Amiga version needed an extra RAM support just to have music. A little bit of information for you. Because the music's so simple, I kinda 5 out of 10. I give it 5 out of 10 because it is a memorable theme song that remained consistent throughout the series, and it all started here.
Art. The artwork is significantly downscaled from what it was in the arcade iteration. It does get a little bit tough on the eyes, but ultimately you're too busy paying attention to things that are coming at you from every angle that, in the end, becomes your biggest challenge. Because of this, we give it 5 out of 10.
Fun! In the Sonic video, I said a quote that I like to apply to many games, and that is, have you ever played a game that was fun and not fun at the same time? Well, this is one of those. The game is fun, but it's frustrating. So, I mean, will I play it? Is there replayability? Most definitely. Will I go back to it? Most definitely. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. That leaves us with an overall score of 6.6. So in terms of games that we played on the channel of all time, this game now takes 3rd place below Sonic the Hedgehog. It bumped 1942 down, which is actually interesting because it is a Capcom title. In terms of platformers, it is in 2nd place to Sonic the Hedgehog. And we get to add an extra category because it's the only run and gun game that we played, so technically it's in 1st place for that. So from games from the 80s and the NES itself, it ranks 2nd place to Final Fantasy. And for the amount of Capcom games that we played, if you're still listening to me babble on, it's 1st place now. Ghosts and Goblins was 6.6, 1942 was 5.5. Well, that's all I got for this episode. If you get a chance, tune in later today where I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream of Final Fantasy to celebrate 20 subscribers. And always, if you get a chance to subscribe, please do. Leave a like on this video and comment down below telling me what you're playing and what I need to be playing. I got a lot of stuff on this wall and I'm always looking to add some new stuff, so if you have a suggestion, go ahead and send it to me. Also, hit the bell so that you know when I'm making new content. It's been a blast, can't wait for episode 8, and I'm thinking about a new project that should be starting after Christmas. I don't know if I want it to be on a contemporary setting or if I want it to be on arcade games, but either way, we got something new coming, and I got a tentative title, and I'm working all of the details out. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your day today. Have a great holiday season. Fortefyre out.